Before we get into this episode, just a quick story. Back around Boxing Week I was heading around, hitting the shops all at the last minute, stuff's gonna close. And just a bit ahead of me on the sidewalk was a group of young rebel rousers, causing a ruckus, kicking garbage bags on the street, and having a jovial old time about it. But they weren't walking all that fast, so I had to kind of walk around them, like on the street around them. And when I did, they looked at me and went, sorry, making it sound like I walked around them because I was afraid they were gonna kick my ass or something. This was not true. The comic shop I was trying to get to was just up the street. It was about to close, and them blocking the sidewalk, I was gonna miss it. I was unjustly labeled as a coward, and I wanted to turn around and explain this to them. But I was afraid they were gonna kick my ass. Hello friends and YouTubers alike, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Talking to the Camera in this new, glorious, sunshiny year. And yes, I am back from New York City, and thank you all very much, those of you who gave me recommendations of things to check out and look at and do. Especially Boo Boo Kisses for your recommendation of Sapporo, a exquisite ramen restaurant found at 152 West 49th Street in New York City. And also thanks to Seva Tarte 9 for your recommendation of going to the MoCCA, the Museum of Comic and Cartoon Arts. The exhibit at the time was the Archie exhibit, going throughout the history and styles and idealisms and blah blah blues of Archie comics from the 50s to now. And one of the most interesting things there was the never released spin-off comic following Archie Andrews' cousin, who just happened to be a spy who fought the Russians in the Cold War, Andy Andrews. I was gonna move this over a bit because you can't see my face. And though I wasn't allowed to take any pictures, here's a quick quote from it. "Oh, you think my kid cousin Archie Andrews is always up to his neck in trouble? Wait until you get a load of some of the trouble you have to go through in my different assignments." Right after that, he talked about how the Russians would allow him to die the way he wanted to as a spy, or get shot in the back of the head. It was interesting, and I'm not making any of that up. But my favorite line of that is when Archie's telling his teacher about it. She's like, "Your cousin? Russians?" Anyway, slightly different from the Archie exhibit was the Tim Burton exhibit at the MoMA. It was fascinating. A visual feast of Burton. Going as far back as possible, showing off his napkins and notepads from high school, throughout all his college days, his works with Disney, his books, his animations, basically everything up until now. Really worth checking out. And one of the really interesting things there was a short he did for Disney. It was a Hansel and Gretel adaptation that was only aired once on TV. It is bizarre. And we checked out many other things in New York, many of the staples, Times Square, where, everyone has to do the rotating shot like this when they visit Times Square. I think Mr. Bean did it. We also checked out the completely gaudy M&M store in Times Square, which has 3 floors of M&M branded merchandise. From the basic candies to cups to shower curtains. What else did we do? Saw Mary Poppins the musical, which I feel the biggest star of it was the set itself. Just see it for the set. One thing that's interesting about New York. Do any of you remember that Beatles animated film, The Yellow Submarine? Yeah, because New York remembers. A lot of the stores we went to had something from the Yellow Submarine in it. The music store had a bunch of toys and napkins and cutouts and pictures. The novelty shops had cups and things. The hostel we stayed at had a poster on the wall of it. I don't know, it's just interesting. And of all the more toy and entertainment shops we went to, such as Nintendo World, Toys R Us in Times Square, and FAO Schwartz, I'd have to say my favorite was FAO Schwartz. It is a ridiculously big toy store with just about every toy, all divided into sections. Like right up the escalator was the Harry Potter section, which had everything's themed. There was ties and scarves and Mad Eye Moody Googly Eyes. There was a Barbie section that had a catwalk that Barbies would actually come up to a little turn and go back down. A Nerf section with Nerf swords. So nice, I love it. And best of all, it had a Muppet workshop downstairs where you could get your own custom Muppet built for you. Oh, I was so tempted. But it was $140, and yeah, if I had pockets, I'd pull them out. So yes, final thoughts on New York City. Well, if you're into shopping, exhibits, musicals, food, and taking pictures of things, it's your kind of city. Now, during the 12-hour bus ride to New York, what kept me busy? Rhythm Heaven for the DS. I believe this game was best described by GameTrailers.com, in that it's like WarioWare, but with music. Essentially, all the mini games are based on rhythm. All your actions go to the beat, and they'll get you tapping your feet and bobbing your hand too when it's time to hit the stylus. A very fresh take on minigame compilations. Be sure to give it a try. Speaking of music,
Comics you should read.
Man, I really been enjoying reading DMC. DMC tells the tale of young Negishi, an aspiring musician who would want nothing more than to be in a hip, stylish Swedish pop band. Unfortunately, where no one likes his hopeless romantic songs about cheese tarts and whatnot, he has a huge following as the death metal Lord Krauser, leader of the ever-growing death metal band DMC, a mantle he's constantly ashamed of. Think of it as a Peter Parker Spider-Man dynamic, where when a situation arises, Negishi suits up to become his alter ego to solve the crisis. But throw in a healthy dose of idiocy at the Cromartie High School level, and you'll know what you're getting into. It's a hilarious series, and I can't recommend it enough. Well, that's the end of this episode of Talking to the Camera, and before we go, I'd like to give my hats off to some of the local businesses in Toronto that didn't make it with us to the new year. See you next time.